Matt Miguez has plenty on his mind, and he's ready to share it with the world. It's time to hear the Miguez Mindset.
What's going on? Welcome into the first ever episode of the Miguez Mindset. I'm your host, Matt Miguez, and the way this is going to work is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to sit down with you and kind of just go over a different topic every time, whether it's the LSU Tigers or the New Orleans Saints or the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, the Houston Astros, whoever it may be, whatever is in the news that day, that is what we are going to talk about on this podcast. So it's probably not a surprise when I tell you that today's topic is going to be the winner-take-all national championship game between LSU and Florida over in Omaha for the College World Series. Now, this series has gone exactly as you would expect it to. You know, you look at the first game and it's a 4-3, 11-inning thriller that pitted two really good college baseball teams against each other. You had offense, you had good pitching. Ty Floyd was absolutely incredible with his career-high 17 strikeouts as a College World Series record as well. And then yesterday, you know, the wind was blowing out. You knew balls were going to fly. Florida took advantage of that early. LSU made a couple of mistakes. You know, you stranded 9 base runners just off of 3 different plays. You loaded the bases in the first, second, and third inning and got nothing. And then, you know, you had a couple critical errors defensively that Florida capitalized on. And next thing you knew, it was 8-3 headed into the 5th inning. At that point, I truly think that what happened was Jay Johnson said, you know what? We're down 8-3. Florida's offense is powerful. We need to take a day to get our good pitchers ready to roll. So he kind of waved the proverbial white flag at that moment. You know, he brought in Bryce Collins, who hasn't pitched a whole lot as of late, get him some College World Series experience. He followed that up with Blake Money, who, again, hasn't pitched a whole lot, and when he hasn't been great as of late. Get him some College World Series experience as well, and then he followed that up with Christian Little. What he did do was save the arms that have been consistent for him. He did not touch Riley Cooper, who we later found out had a stomach bug, wasn't even available to pitch for the Tigers yesterday. He did not go to Griffin Herring. He did not go to Paul Skenes. He did not go to Thatcher Hurd. He used Gavin Guidry ever so sparingly, pitched an inning and a half yesterday afternoon. So now LSU comes into this game 3 with all of its big dogs ready and available. Because I'm here to tell you right now, whether he starts or whether he comes out of the bullpen, Paul Skenes is pitching for LSU tonight. He will. He is way too much of a competitor to sit back in a game of this magnitude knowing that he can make an impact for his team and not going to do anything about it. Paul Skenes will pitch tonight in some capacity for Jay Johnson and LSU. LSU is far from being out of this series because, like I mentioned, they gave up yesterday. You realized in the 5th inning you weren't going to win this game. Let's save it for tomorrow. LSU is 6-0 all time in winner-take-all game 3s in Omaha. I expect tonight to be the 7th. You're just too good offensively to have multiple bad performances like you did yesterday. You started off hot, but then you kind of died. I expect them to take yesterday, which was a 20-run loss, one of the largest deficits in Omaha history. 24 runs scored by Florida is the most scored in a single College World Series game. I expect LSU to flush that right out of their memory, and if anything, use it for motivation. Look, you know, yesterday was a one-off. Yesterday was an anomaly. Come back, ready to play, get focused, and know what's ahead of you. You still have an opportunity to lift a national championship trophy when it's all said and done tonight. So I think that that's the big thing for LSU. 5 errors defensively, probably not going to happen again. Look, 1 or 2 is a normal thing in baseball. LSU doesn't commit 5. They just don't. Jordan Thompson did not have a good game yesterday. Well, let's be honest. Jordan Thompson hasn't had a great series in Omaha. 1 for 33 at the plate. just has to find a way to deliver on this stage, because you've seen Jordan Thompson do it before. Go back to the Tennessee game back at home earlier in the season. 2-2 in the eighth, bases loaded. He comes up and he rips one into the right center gap for a bases clearing double. Jordan Thompson can produce offensively. There's no doubt of that. Defensively, I still believe he's one of the better defensive shortstops in America. Yes, he's made some mistakes and he's had a slump in Omaha, but he is still that guy. You remember the Jeter-esque play that he made against Kentucky at the box in the Supers. Jordan Thompson will figure it out. And I think he's going to figure it out tonight, because he knows what he has to do in order to help this team win. The next thing, stranded base runners. LSU has to figure out a way to prevent that. You have stranded 30 base runners in 2 games against Florida. That's 15 base runners a game. Can't happen. You've stranded 17 in game 1. You stranded 13 yesterday. 3 different instances yesterday. You had the bases loaded and you came away with nothing. LSU has to find a way offensively to get timely hits and play complementary baseball to where when you have 2 on and 1 out, or bases loaded and 1 out, you got to get at least 1 run in. At least. So LSU has to fix that if they want to lift a national championship trophy tonight. And then the other thing is, realize what you have in this batting order. You have Dylan Cruz, the Golden Spikes Award winner, arguably one of the best hitters in the country. You have Tommy White, a guy who's hit 24 home runs, has 100-plus RBIs on the season, just an absolute monster. Trey Morgan, yes, he's slumped over the last couple of games, but he's been a guy that's been hovering around 400 in Omaha. He delivers for you in big moments as well. Gavin Dugas has had a big week and a half in Omaha. Cade Beloso has arguably been the most outstanding player of the entire tournament. You know, you look at his key moments. He has the home run in game 1 against Florida. He had the home run earlier in the World Series against Wake Forest as well. This is a guy that delivers for you when you need him to deliver for you most. There has not been an LSU baseball player more consistent in the postseason than Cade Beloso. Look for him to come up big again tonight. We talked about all-time pitching matchups earlier with Paul Skenes and Rhett Lauder when they faced off last week, LSU and Wake Forest. I think this one's going to be much more of the same. Jack Caglione going to go for Florida tonight. He's a guy that has a sub-4 ERA as a starting pitcher, and, leads Division I in home runs with 33 on the season. He's college baseball Shohei Ohtani. Look for him to have another big night for the Gators. And Paul Skenes, like I mentioned earlier, will pitch in some capacity. Does he come out of the bullpen? Does he start? Not sure yet, but he will appear and make an impact in this winner-take-all game. Keys to victory for LSU, very simply, limit the mistakes defensively. You can't commit 5 errors again. Find timely hitting and complementary baseball when you have runners on base. Stop stranding 15-plus runners in a championship series. And then just play LSU baseball. And as cliche as that may sound, LSU needs to just do what they have done all season. They are one of the best teams in college baseball. They have been all season long. They know what it takes to win a national championship. They need to get out of their own head, focus on what's happening between the lines, and just play LSU Tiger baseball. If they do those 3 things, I think they lift a 7th national championship tonight. First pitch is at 6. Pregame will be at 5:30, and you can hear it on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers. Going back to the conversation about the offense, you talk about yesterday's game, 24-4. Florida hit 6 home runs during that game, and that really set the tone for their offense to run away when LSU was using less than stellar pitching. And after the game, LSU's head coach Jay Johnson just kind of talked about where things went off the rails for his team in yesterday's game.
Yeah, probably the sixth. I felt like at 8-3, it was 7-3, I believe, in the fourth, and we had the bases loaded and hit into a double play. Felt like we were fine there. Credit their relievers. They executed some pitches that made it hard on some guys for us that have been swinging the bat really well. And that was a killer, the double play when we had the bases loaded when it was 7-3. But still, we felt okay about it, which is, why we sent Gavin back out to the mound. Looking at it at 8-3, we went to Bryce because he pitched well against them last year, and it was largely the same lineup. It's almost identical, a lot like ours, and that's why we're both here. It's two really good teams that have old players that generally play the game the right way. And he was good in his first inning. He wasn't good in his second, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Again, you bring up the 30 stranded base runners in the two games with LSU in Florida, 17 in game one for the Tigers, and then 13 yesterday in game number 2. For me, at least, that is very concerning for an offense to strand that many base runners in just 2 games, especially a high-powered offense like LSU. So Jay Johnson was asked in the post-game press conference whether or not it's concerning to him to have that many runners left stranded.
I'm sure, I guess. But I don't really know how to answer that. We're the best offensive team in the country, and when you lead the country in on-base percentage, you're going to leave more runners on base. I feel part of the credit has to go to the pitcher at times, and I think it was Purnell did a nice job, inducing the ground ball for the double play. But yeah, we got our guys. We're not going to bring in a bunch of free agents for tomorrow night. It's a 27-man roster, and I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that.
I think LSU has a prime opportunity tonight to put themselves back in the conversation of national champions. LSU hasn't won a national title since 2009, which was Paul Maneri's second year with the program. Now Jay Johnson in year number 2 looks to do sort of the same thing. One thing that's interesting to note, LSU will now have played, this will be their 7th game in 8 days. They are worn out. How does that factor into tonight? I think that this is a team with enough mental fortitude to realize, look, you've got one more game. We got to put it all out on the line, and they're going to do what it takes to win. But at the same time, that's a lot of baseball and not a whole lot of rest. So, does the physical exhaustion kind of start to play a factor here as the series winds down with the winner-take-all game tonight? I'm looking for that as well because, again, like I mentioned, you can have the mental integrity and the mental fortitude to say it doesn't matter, we've got to win. But in the same regard, it could come into play in effect. Look for Paul Skenes to pitch tonight, like I mentioned earlier in the show. I think he's just too much of a competitor to sit back. And I know people talk about, you have to save him for his pro career. No, you don't. You don't have to worry about that right now. He's on 3 days rest. Pitchers pitch on 3 days rest before. Now, can he have a normal 120 pitch outing? No. But could he come in and throw 60 to 75 pitches? Yeah, I think he could. I think this is an opportunity for LSU to use all the bullets in the chamber because, again, this is the last game. You have nothing else to play for after tonight. So they're going to get aggressive. They're going to take every opportunity that they have to, whether it's plating a run or moving a base runner over. You might see a little bit of small ball tonight, which I think you should. Because, again, you have to take every opportunity that is presented to you. Caglianone's a great pitcher. He's going to throw a lot of fastballs in the upper 90s, and this is a fastball hitting offense for LSU. So I think that plays an advantage for the Tigers in that instance. But again, stay careful. Don't make too many mistakes. Don't strand base runners. Find complementary baseball. And I think if the Tigers do that, they're going to be fine. So again, 6 o'clock first pitch. Florida's going with Jack Caglianone. LSU has not yet announced who they're going with, whether it'll be Skenes, Hurd, maybe even somebody else. But you will see Paul Skenes. You will see Thatcher Hurd. And hopefully, if he's feeling better, you will see Riley Cooper as well. Hoping the Tigers can lift a 7th national championship trophy tonight. Once again, pregame at 5:30 right here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. This has been the Miguez Mindset. I'm Matt Miguez. We'll see you on Wednesday.